The high value feminine way to handle a man who is not leading the conversation. Hi, my name is Unique Subanda and I am your style concierge here at the Black Swan Relationship Academy, and I am also your digital dating coach for all your online dating needs. Today I'm just going to talk about something that a lot of you ladies have really been having issues with, and we've had a few conversations about this where men just don't seem to be taking the lead, just don't seem to be asking you out on that date, just don't seem to want to lead the conversation, and are always leaving you on red and going off and not coming back to you. So this is how to handle that, ladies. But before we go into all of that, I want to talk about the state of mind in which you're in for you to be receiving those kind of messages from men, or those kind of, to be even having those conversations. I put it down to understanding your femininity and understanding how you actually need to lean back, and understanding the power of leaning back, and also understanding the practice of leaning back as a feminine woman. So we are in this age of rush, microwave. If you don't get a reply within a few seconds, everybody's fed up, the cancel generation, and all of those many things, which really work against our femininity, which allow us to then stay in our masculine energy, or should I say masculine spirit, and then we're not able to then communicate to the high value masculine man. As a high value feminine woman, our predominant state is at rest and leaning back. And that is where I need you ladies to be. So this is for the high value feminine woman who wants to stay predominantly in her feminine energy, and who also wants to attract a high value masculine man who is in his predominant masculine energy. So just to kind of step back a little bit, to understand the polarities of feminine and the feminine and the masculine. We all possess the masculine and the feminine. It's that just that one is predominant and one less takes a little bit of a back seat. But for you to attract a masculine man, you then need to be predominantly in your feminine, which for some of us as a lone parent can be quite hard, because I have been pushed into that position of providing for my daughter, of protecting my daughter, of cherishing my daughter and my children, and nurturing her, which innately is a masculine role, which innately is something that if I hadn't come through this process of working on my femininity and learning about this high value journey of how to exist predominantly in my femininity, I wouldn't have been able to then be to talk to you about this from a space of experience where I have learned to lean back. Even in my mothering, I have learned to lean back, because that is what then allows me to watch my daughter grow and bring out the fun side of her and lean back, and also then be able to allow a man to come in and step into that role. So the other thing I'd love to talk about is the law of vacuum. So as much as there's polarity in the feminine and the masculine, there's this thing called the law of the vacuum. By nature, if you dig up a hole in the ground, come back a few days later, a few months later, that hole is filled with leaves, it's filled with something's going to find its way in there. That's just a law of nature. That is just how God has created the way we work with each other within our relationships, where even if you look within your friendships, there is one that will be more dominant, more controlling, more in focus, more not necessarily just controlling of the whole group, but there's one that you could always count on to provide a sense of security within that group. So we'd call that woman the masculine part. Not that she's male, so we're not describing masculinity as in gender roles, but masculinity as in the energy that we preside and sit in. So on to the question, without veering too far, we could always go into all those topics another time. So when there is a using that law of the vacuum, it means that whenever there is a vacancy for the masculine. A masculine man is easily well able to fill that space. But when there is no space for him to be in his masculine, he can't. This shows up in the way when we lean back and we allow the man to be the one that pursues us, and we ask questions that allow him to be in a space where he can lead. He then takes up that space and fills that role as the masculine in our lives. And he pursues us and is able to protect, provide, cherish us in the way that we want to be cherished. So using that same law, this is how we then apply those same principles to these conversations. When we feel that men are not leading the conversations, we have to check ourselves, ladies. You have to check yourself. Are you actually leaning back? Are you allowing this man to be the one that starts the conversation? There's this lovely saying, start how you mean to finish. If you mean to end up with a masculine man, start the relationship in that way. Start even the littlest of things. Start the conversations in that way. Start your conversations in the feminine. Go onto the dating app in possession of your feminine energy. Step back, lean back. Let the men approach you. I know there are certain apps, which we shall not name, that definitely make you and kind of put you in that position where you make the first move. And it's only really women who have mastered their femininity that are able to kind of signal, do the first move, and then sit back in their feminine and allow the man to be masculine. So in the same breath, ladies, when we're going on to these apps, check yourself. That's the one thing I'd always say. Check yourself to see if you are leaning back and you are in your feminine. Check yourself to see if you're rested before you have these conversations. Check yourself to see that you are not the one pursuing the conversation energetically, emotionally, physically, and even mentally. Are you constantly thinking of him and wondering, why doesn't he answer my question? Are you constantly wondering, why doesn't he take that step? Are you constantly in that frame of mind where you almost want to take control, but you don't? Men are very sensitive and intuitive about our energy, so they can read that, they can feel that, even in the choice of words that we use when it comes to online dating, even in general conversation. It means that a man who is very sensitive and is predominantly functioning in his masculinity will tend to step away from a situation where he does not have the freedom to be in his masculine. Another thing, ladies, could be that you have to remember these men are just innately masculine and they want to open doors for you. They want to do all these chivalrous things that make a lady just, smile from ear to ear. But society, on the other hand, has really beaten them down. Society, or should I say other women, have told him, I can do bad all by myself, honey. You do not even have to open the door for me to get to do bad all by myself. So they are really in a state where it is perceived sometimes as aggressive when a man opens the door for a woman. It is not something that is required anymore. So allow the masculine to be masculine. Give them room to be masculine. If anything, require it. The only reason chivalry is dead or could be dead is that because it is not required. But when you meet your masculine high value man, when you're required of him, he will step into that vacuum and fill that space as the masculine man that you need. So let's go back again to, I guess, the whole question. Now that I've explained that whole theory, pardon my voice, I've just recovered from a cold and I was so excited, a little bit too excited to do this topic because I love the whole play and the game of the masculine and feminine energy. I'm not saying abandon your masculinity, because that masculinity is what gets your vision and your goals and gets you to be the woman you are when it comes to your business life and the way you run your home and your children. You need your masculine energy. Do not abandon it. It's all about learning to balance it. And this is the whole thing where submission comes into play, where confidence comes into play, where vulnerability comes into play, because these are all aspects of mastered femininity. Mastered femininity allows you to be very, very vulnerable, but still own who you are. To be vulnerable because you have been given the space to be soft. To be vulnerable because you are strong in your heart. And to be vulnerable because you don't see it as a weakness. Unfortunately, again, vulnerability is something that is now seen as weakness. And I know for most of you ladies, for you to step back, it reveals the insecurities of wanting to always be in control. It reveals your insecurity, and it reveals the idea, and should I say the backdrop of trauma in some cases, which has allowed you to be in that space where you need to be in control. In some cases, it's just really what the hand that life has dealt you that make you want to always be in control. So all I'm saying is to relinquish that just for a minute when you're dealing with a high value masculine man. Allow him to spoil you. Allow him to be the masculine man. Step back and allow him to open a door or two for you. Wait for him to open the door for you. In waiting, all you are doing is just providing the space for him to then step in. It might take a while, but over time, you will get used to it. In the same way, when it comes to conversations, there is patience in being feminine. So when a man is not taking the lead, it's really because he does read the energy that is coming from you as combative. This is not to knock you down and say that you cannot throw suggestions at a man, but predominantly allow the man to pursue you, because that is the position that you want to be in, really. It is a beautiful, vulnerable, gorgeous space to be in when you know you can trust the man that is showing up in your life. But then for you to trust in you to be able to allow him that space. And so to answer the question, finally, you cannot honestly handle a man who is not leading a conversation. All you can do, ladies, really is lean back. Ask questions and allow him to take the lead. Allow him to be the one that asks you out on that date. Even though you have suggested, throw a handkerchief here and there, a verbal signal, as in you could literally ask questions such as, a conversation would be lovely, don't you think? And then allow him to get to that point where he says, yes, it would. And your response to that would be, I am available at such and such a time. I'm looking forward to talking to you. So that's just an idea of some of the questions that we get in SWAN Nation. And these are some of the things that we discuss in SWAN Nation as well, which I would love you to be a part of and join, so that you can literally get to see the hands-on practicality for not just online dating, for not just how we show up, for just the little things that we do within SWAN Nation that help our girls able to date better and present as high value feminine women. Because we're not only just presenting as high value feminine women, we are learning to be high value feminine women, and we're walking that journey with you. So join the Black SWAN Nation. The links are all in the description box. And before I forget, do like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, come and join this whole session, this feminine revolution, as we touch 1 billion women across the world, as Chengi says. And we're also on our journey to reaching 100,000 subscribers by the end of this year. And I know you're gonna definitely help us to do that. Anyway, literally any relationship we're in, most of the time you'll find that women will come to a stage where you get yourself into the relationship, but somehow you find the man pulling away constantly. This is when, again, you have to continuously check yourself to see if you're not trying to take that lead role, if you're not allowing yourself to be submissive. And remember, submission is not about bowing down. It's really about having the power to pull back, to allow him to be the man. Allow him to be the provider. Allow him to be the protector. Allow him to cherish you like you should be cherished. And you are wanting an amazing relationship with a masculine man. These are some of the things that, ladies, we have to learn to do, is to lean back. Lean back and allow the man to just pursue you. Lean back and allow the man to be the one that does the calling initially. Lean back and allow him to be the one that plans the dates. It's also a very high value feminine way of allowing a man to know what your needs are without telling him what to do. And we should be talking a little bit more about those things in the next session. But for today, my name is Unique Subanda, and I think I really need to preserve my voice for the next video so that you can get a little bit more of this amazing conversation that we've just started right now. If anything, do watch some of the videos that we have spoken about all of this as well. Do watch some of the videos that we have talked about feminine energy and how then it is translated online, how it is translated in person. Do take care of you, and I'll see you next week. Mwah.